Well. Saturday, December 13th. Lucky 13, by golly. It's noon Eastern time. I'm Bob Harris, and it's time for the Week 15 Fantasy Playoff Ask Me Anything live stream. Before we get to the questions, and I see they have already started. You know I love that. Footballguys.com. That's the website. I appreciate you joining me here every Saturday. It's been a great season. It will continue onward. Everyone here, I know the games are more meaningful to you. Even if there are fewer of you here, the into the playoffs, it matters more. So we'll take it in that spirit. And be sure to hit the subscribe button, the notification bell, hit the like button if you like it, hit dislike me if you don't. You'll find me on the Football Guys website in case you were unaware. You'll find me Monday through Friday on the Football Guys Daily Update podcast. 10 minutes of tasty news and information just to kind of get your day rolling right. You'll find my fantasy notebook every Thursday. You'll find my face-off column with Gary Davenport, a collaboration, people. That's every Friday. Today, my in and out column is out, and you can check that out as you want. Remember, on that column, it's not, like if I'm out on a player, it doesn't mean I'm out on playing them. It means I'm out on the projection, or I'm in over the projection. Doesn't mean I'm starting every single guy on the list. Just trying to look for edges against the projections. You can also hear me every day on SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio, 8 to 10 Eastern Time with Mike Dempsey on Monday through Friday. Tonight, I'll be on from 8 to 11 on the NFL radio and the Fantasy Channel. Tomorrow, the pregame show with Jeff Mans. So be sure to check all that out. Hope everyone's doing well. Let me know if the sound's not okay. I don't know if I can do anything about it, but I will if I can. A lot of questions. And we'll get to them momentarily. I'm going to go through some other stuff first, so be prepared for that. And I know that, we start getting into the Week 15, and we're in the playoffs. And again, the games matter most, and people want to make some really interesting decisions. I'm going to tell you what I would do. If you still want to make the decision you want to make that decision. I'm not here to tell you what to do. Let's make sure we know that, right? I'm here to tell you what I would do to provide information and context to the decisions you want to make. When you ask me questions, most of the time I can tell what the answer is you want. If you want to play somebody over somebody else, say that, and I'll explain to you the pros and cons of doing that to help you better inform the decision. Well, if I saw a question in here, Drake May and Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy has a great matchup. I love Brock Purdy this week. I don't know that I'd start him over Drake May any single week. I go with a depth chart, right? So, but if you want to, I can make the case for why I would want to. I could also make the case for why I'd rather play Drake May. Either way, in the end, it's your decision, right? You've got to figure these things out. And so I'm going to provide the information you need. I'm going to tell you what I would do. And in the end, you need to do what you want to do. It's your hunches. You got here. I'm spending an hour with you on Saturdays. Maybe you listen to me more or you read my work as well. But you're thinking these things through, and you may go back and forth on these things, and that's okay. That's part of the fun of the part of the process. So I want to encourage that. I am not the final word. I'm not in all my playoffs. I don't have perfect records in all my leagues. My ins and outs don't always hit 100% right. In fact, it's an aggressive article. So if I'm hitting 500, I'm pretty happy. But all of it is based on solid information that should help you make the best decision you can make, and maybe figure some things out that you don't have figured out. So take that. And yes, we'll get to the news here momentarily. We all know Philip Rivers is starting. I'll talk about that plenty. Good morning, Mr. Scampers. Good morning, Andrea. Nice to see you out there. I see you floating around. Oh, look, there's Dave Kluge in there. Look at that. I was on the launch pad. It was fantastic. Go listen to that on the you can go to the podcast page, or hopefully you already subscribed to all those podcasts. We got great podcasts at footballguys.com. You'll love it. Sunday morning is fun on Sirius. I agree. Have a really good time with Jeff Mans. I see some of you out there already answering each other's questions. I encourage that. Please do that. Have discussions amongst yourselves. Hello, Scott against Evil. Happy to see you here, sir. Good to see people into the playoffs, or at least still involved in the playoffs. And there's Andrea. Hello, Andrea. Happy to have you here. Andrea drafts great teams. I'm not surprised she's playing into the postseason. I see you out there, Jim. Good to see you. Thank you for coming. Good morning, Jeff Bolt. Happy to see you here as well. How many Jeff Bolts are there? It's just one. You made a lot of comments. Look at breaking news, like you're breaking news. You can't break news before the show starts. Disallowed. All right. So let's run through the news, right? And get these things sorted out and get some things. And Scott Kobe in there, always happy to see him. Scott Kobe just out there winning everybody's money. You should listen to him when he answers you in the chat. That's what you should do. You should listen to Dave Kluge in the chat. You can listen to the smart people in the chat. You can listen to me and we'll sort it all out. Let's run through the news real quick. And I'll go through these games in chronological order to give you, like, I do this because it's easier to, let me make sure my notifications are not lying to me about something that I don't want to know. Okay. So I do these in chronological order. Yeah, I do that for a reason. It's because you will have fallback decisions to make if you have questionable players or players that are iffy or dicey, and you'll want to know who has early kickoffs, late afternoon kickoffs. If you have guys in late afternoon kickoffs right now that are questionable, I'm looking at you, Josh Jacobs. Get him in your flex position to give you the maximum possible range of moves to be made, right? So go ahead and do all those right now. We'll run through all that stuff. The early afternoon window, Chicago at Cleveland. No major guys. Dylan Sampson's been ruled out. David Njoku's been ruled out. Cedric Tillman's questionable. I don't think he'll play. Didn't practice all week. Malachi Corley, nobody should care. On the other side of the ball, Rome Odunze is the big question mark here. He did practice on a limited basis all week. Jeremy Fowler is reporting this morning on ESPN that he's expected to play. So he's got a fractured foot. He hasn't been great, people. What has he got? Like 6 single-digit games in his last 8? It's been hit or miss, mostly miss. Rashad Bateman, Baltimore, Cincinnati, is questionable. He did not practice all week. I don't think he's going to play. Cincinnati Bengals, T. Higgins is not going to play. Now, by the way, Chicago is going to be very cold. It's like 1 degree, people. Could be a heavy running game. It's also going to be cold in Baltimore or in Cincinnati, 12 degrees high. Feels like 2 degrees, wind gusts up to 70 miles an hour. No T. Higgins. Mike Gesicki moves up in the rankings a little bit when Higgins is out. Andre Yoshivas. Mitchell Tinsley. I know some of you out there have him. Kansas City, Los Angeles at Kansas City. Quentin Johnston, questionable with a groin injury. This came up on Friday, so I'd say he's like very questionable. Justin Herbert off the injury report, but not unhurt. Marquise Brown, wide receiver, a personal matter, out. Hollywood Brown's out for Kansas City. Again, it's going to be fairly cold in Kansas City, but it always is this time of year. Buffalo at New England. Josh Palmer, questionable. I'm not sure he's going to make it back in this one other side of the ball. Terrell Jennings has a concussion. Not sure he's a big factor for any of us other than maybe Ramondre Stevenson and Travion Henderson get a little more work. Already a dicey situation there, right? Washington at New York. The Commanders will be without Jaden Daniels. Marcus Mariota will start. Chris Rodriguez Jr. is questionable. Seems likely to play. Had a couple limited practices Thursday and Friday. Deebo Samuel came down with an illness on Friday. Players usually play through that, but it's something to watch. He is questionable officially. New York Jets, the great Bo Collins is out. Sorry. Gunnar Oslewski, questionable, but seems like he practiced in full. Actually, he may have gotten cleared or he's close to being cleared. Practice fully on Friday anyway. Las Vegas and Philadelphia, Geno Smith out with shoulder and back injuries. Kenny Pickett revenge game. Kenny Pickett will start at quarterback against the Eagles. Not sure I want to be that guy. Ian Thomas, questionable. Everyone else should be good to go there. Philadelphia Eagles, everyone's good to go. Some line injuries. Jalen Carter, Lane Johnson, can't think of names so fast. New York at Jacksonville. The Jets, without Justin Fields and Tyrod Taylor, Brady Cook will start at quarterback. Mason Taylor, the tight end's also out. Stone Smart, a backup tight end, is questionable. So be careful here, kids. The Jets aren't a productive offense at the moment. Parker Washington, questionable. Practice fully on Friday for the Jaguars. Seems likely to be back in the mix, but he's kind of fallen behind. Brian Thomas Jr. showing signs of life. Isn't that grand? Arizona, Houston, no Marvin Harrison Jr. So wheels up for Michael Wilson. Even if you're worried about the matchup, the volume should be fine. Amari DeMarcado, questionable. Seems likely to go. Elijah Higgins has an illness. The backup tight end, not worried about him. Xavier Weaver, wide receiver, has been ruled out. You DFS tournament players, back off those guys. Houston, Nick Chubb, questionable. Seems pretty uncertain to me. Seems like this is a clear pathway for Woody Marks to get the full workload in a great matchup. The late afternoon window, this is where it matters, people, because you have to have some options, either make some decisions in advance or have some fallback options. Josh Jacobs, I mentioned, he's questionable. Seems very questionable to me. This one we're going to probably see go right up to kickoff. They did that in Minnesota 3 weeks ago. Took it right up. And not like playing around, taking it right up to kickoff. He was out there on the field, and they didn't know until they knew. Savion Williams, questionable as well. By the way, Marshawn Lloyd is out, so get Emmanuel Wilson if he's available in leagues. If you have Jacobs, or if you don't, you never know. Pat Bryant, the young rookie receiver in Denver, and this game is in Denver. Pat Bryant out with a hamstring injury. Detroit at Los Angeles. Khalif Raymond, questionable, hasn't been much of a factor. Wouldn't be worried about that. Devontae Adams, he has been a factor. He's questionable. Sean McVay says he'll play. Should see Tutu Atwell back this week, too. They got to activate him off IR, but he's off the injury report. New Orleans Saints hosting the Carolina Panthers. Panthers are all good to go. New Orleans, Alvin Kamara is not, so Devin Neal gets to start again in this one. Tennessee at San Francisco. Everybody's good to go in Tennessee. San Francisco, everyone good to go that we care about in San Francisco. Good game for Brock Purdy. I see a lot of Brock Purdy questions this week, so that's one of the reasons I brought up that example in the open, and we'll get through those. Indianapolis at Seattle. Here we go. Both NFL Network and ESPN are reporting that Phillip Rivers, the 44-year-old who has not played since 2020, will start in Seattle. Riley Leonard worked fully and was removed from the injury report Friday. Ian Rappaport suggested both could play, but Rivers will start. It's going to be raining. It's like an 80% chance of rain. Phillip Rivers is 44. The Seattle Seahawks, very good at stopping quarterbacks, very good at stopping wide receivers, not so great at stopping tight ends. Ranked fourth in the league in sacks right now. Maybe that's not true after Monday night or Thursday night. But anyway, you get the picture. I know we all want to project a storybook happy ending on this one. I don't know if this is going to have a happy ending. On the Seattle side of the ball, Elijah Arroyo is out with a knee injury. Sunday Night Football, nobody of great interest. Jake Ferguson for the Vikings. We'll watch Ty Chandler today. It seems like he'll come off IR at some point, or he must, or he will not. But obviously not a factor. Jake Ferguson, though, on the other side of the ball he's got a calf injury. Didn't practice Thursday. Came back got limited work on Friday, though. So that one's pretty dicey there. I'd be careful with that one. Have a fallback option in place. Lots of tight ends in Miami and Pittsburgh. You could maybe grab one of them. They're playing Monday night. Devon Achane, the official injury report's not out, but Devon Achane, the reporting this morning is he is expected to play. For Pittsburgh, TJ Watt got needled. So there we have that. All right. I see people arguing now. All right. So I see this comment. Way too chicken is, but what Evans did you have? I mean, I don't know how you can be chicken. Like Mike Evans is a good player. That passing offense has not been great, right? For a month, more than a month. Baker Mayfield's quarterback 18. You had two receivers over the last 4 weeks in Emeka Egbuka, who started out on fire, who was over the last 4 weeks has been wide receiver 50. Chris Godwin's been like closer to wide receiver 60. So, I don't know if expecting, and I don't know if Baker looked like 100% on point in this game either. A great pass rush by the other side. So, I'm not going to kick myself in the tail for not being stuck. I play Watson over Debo, by the way, but you're taking your chances there. It's a great matchup. He can run past that Pat Surtain because he can run past almost anyone. He's gotten his work done on a limited range of targets. You might want to wait this out and see if Debo maybe is a safer floor play, but I'd probably rather play Watson if you've already played or if you're looking for higher upside. All right, let me go back to the top, see what I've missed. See, I love all the questions. I appreciate all the questions. When you come in and ask a bunch of questions before the show starts, I feel like I'm missing out on all the chat that goes on because I spend the first half hour catching up on questions that have already been asked. So I'm just like to scroll down a little bit and see what's going on. I have not disliked myself yet, Scott, because I'm not in the YouTube. I'm in StreamYard, but I'll get there. I always dislike myself before it's over. Let me get there. That business. Boo, I hate me. All right, let's get to the questions. And again, not going to tell you what to do. Going to tell you what's going on with the decisions you have to make. Tell you what I would do. You need to make these decisions. You got to the playoffs. I mean, you could sit here and say, well, I help you my input and you made decisions based on what you thought was best. Continue doing that. That's how you got here. Eagles or Texans this week on the defense. I have Philadelphia. I think the football guys ranking has Philadelphia at the top. I'm never going to tell anyone not to play the Texans. I mean, they're a great defense, but I do like to pick on quarterbacks, and Kenny Pickett looks like someone who could be picked on. We saw with the Eagles did to Phillip Rivers last week when he was able to be picked on. So yes, I would probably play the Eagles myself, but there's not a wrong answer. I think Texans are our fourth ranked defense. They have a great pass rush, very disruptive. So a little better quarterback situation for Arizona. I usually pick on the quarterbacks. When you ask defensive questions, almost always I default to who has the worst quarterback, who's facing the lousiest quarterback, and who has the best disruptive playmakers. You also want me to know about Ken Walker, Rico Dowdle, Devin Singletary, Kyle Monangai, and Bam Knight. I think I have them Rico, Walker, Singletary, Monangai, and Knight. But I mean, Monangai, he and Singletary are both, well, they're all in timeshares, all right. But he and Singletary seem like the diciest. I mean, I thought Singletary was gaining momentum, but Tyrone Tracy's got some playmaking ability. Thinking it's going to be freezing cold in Chicago. Could we see more Kyle Monangai in a run-heavy attack? That is entirely possible. I would start Dowdle over DK Metcalf for sure. After that, I think it's a closer call. And I'm not eagerly starting DK Metcalf. I mean, he's had a good game. Doesn't have those every week. Hi, Bob. Hello, Mark Marchese, 5804. I need a quarterback. Burrows or Dak. Need two quarterbacks. Need two running backs. 1 point PPR. So we're setting the whole lineup. All right. Fair enough. I think you're going to find Dak rated over Burrows. It's a tougher matchup for him. They're both ranked within one or two of each other. If you feel better about Burrows, go ahead and play him. If you're worried about the Minnesota defense, it's been one of the stingiest against quarterbacks and wide receivers. And then, yes, but I mean, they're that close. I don't know. I might play Burrows over Dak this week. Need two running backs out of this group. ETN, Marks, Harvey, or Swift. It's going to be ETN and Harvey for me. One wide receiver, I'd probably play Myers for the floor, McLaurin if I'm swinging for the fence. Oh, I play the Eagles defense. Good grief. That was a big bunch of stuff, man. How did you get to the playoffs? Did you make those decisions yourself? I think the quarterback call is the closest one. So if you read my in and out column, I'm out on Dak Prescott, but not out on him as a starting quarterback by any means. Just wonder if he hits the high side in this really tough matchup. Joe Burrow seems more likely to, even though the Baltimore defense is playing better. Have the pleasure of going up against Pitts this week. Who has the better upside, Philadelphia or Seattle? Well, I don't know if any defense has a ton of upside, but I try Philadelphia. Well, both of them. I think I have them ranked 1 and 2 this week because of the quarterback situations. So, toss that coin. Who has the better upside, Hurts or Purdy? I mean, every week Hurts has the most upside, but we've seen the range of outcomes for him. We've seen it for Purdy as well, right? We saw Purdy have a single-digit scoring night against Carolina. I'd probably play Hurts over Purdy, but the matchup is favorable. They're both inside the top 10. And, if you look at our projections, players inside the top 10, let's just take a quick look here. And so I guess the answer is I'm going to tell you I would play Jalen Hurts. But if the answer was you wanted to play Brock Purdy, he's projected for 18.75 points. So Hurts is projected for 20.3. So it's a point and a quarter different in the projections. That's where we're at. And same with Dak and Burrow, right? So Dak is projected at 20 points. Burrow is projected at 20.19. Burrow is projected for 19.97. Well, I'm not going to pretend we can make that prediction with any clarity. So you start working in. So that's what I say when we're ranking things linearly, but we should be thinking in tiers, right? So if you have a decision to make of two close players, that's when you go with what you feel best with, right? And so we have Dak projected higher than Joe Burrow. I see reasons to believe Dak's not going to hit that. I see that. I laid that out. You can go read my in and out column. He's my out at quarterback. Again, not because I'm not starting him, but because I'm concerned about him hitting the high side of his matchup, right? Against a tough defense, a defense that's been very tough against quarterbacks. And how tough have they been? Well, let's look. I can tell you that because I know that because I just wrote about it. Let's look at how tough it's been. Let's see. Over the last 5 weeks, Minnesota held Lamar Jackson, Caleb Williams, Jordan Love, Sam Darnold, and Jaden Daniels to a combined 39.8 points. That's an average of 8 points a game, the quarterbacks. I think their official average over that span is 8.1 points. On the season, they've given up the third fewest points, 13.3 games to opposing quarterbacks. They're also been shutting down. They've given up the fewest fantasy points to wide receivers as well. So that's why I'm concerned, right? And we've seen Dak in tough matchups. He was held to single digits twice against Philadelphia in week 1, but more recently by Denver in week 8. So that's probably why I'd be going against the projections here and probably going Burrow, right? But those are the discussions you need to have. That's the kind of information you need to be looking at when you're making that decision of players in the same tier. I hate that we have to rank literally, that we look at things in a list. And I understand why we do it, right? But we don't have to think that way when we're making our decision. We should be thinking like, wow, there's 2 guys in the same tier. What's the happy story I'm telling myself, or the horror story that I'm telling myself to make this decision or to help me make this decision? And I'm going to try and share the stories that I've told myself about these players. So I'm telling you with Dak that I think it's not a great matchup. I could work through the same issues with Philadelphia, with Cincinnati and Burrow. It's without T. Higgins. Baltimore's been playing better recently. We could suss all this out, but I think that's the kind of decision you make. But when I'm telling you we have players ranked like he's 7, he's 9, that might be a half a point difference, right? So if you feel better about one guy than the other guy, don't adhere strictly to anybody's rankings, right? Look for the tier, look for the players in the same range, and then work through the information and make the decision the best that you're most comfortable with. Should I worry about Trey McBride versus Houston? Yes. I can pick up Isaiah Likely or Brenton Strange. I would never start any of those guys over Trey McBride. I would not, right? Trey McBride's a tight end 1. He's, but we can't say that the tight ends facing Cincinnati have averaged what Trey McBride averages a game. The problem in this case is I like Isaiah Likely. I think he's a fine play. I think, he's projected to be our tight end 17. The problem is Mark Andrews is projected to be our tight end 16. And it's going to be a split. It's been all Isaiah Likely the last 3 weeks. He scored 29 points over that 3-game span. And Mark Andrews has scored 12, like 4 a game. Like, would it be surprising if it's suddenly a Mark Andrews game and Isaiah Likely doesn't? And Isaiah Likely could have had bigger games, right? He's been very, what he almost had a touchdown, or some would say he did have a touchdown last week that he didn't get. So yes, I mean, I get playing the gamble, but man, this is your most important week, right? Do you go against a guy? And I get it's a tough matchup, and we're worried. I'm in both the case of Trey McBride and Michael Wilson. I'm going to play the anticipated volume. They're still going to throw the ball a lot because they can't run, right? So I'm going to play that anticipated volume. If you want to take a chance on Likely, you understand the risk you're taking there. He might not be a Likely week, might be an Andrews week. Brenton Strange kind of splits the middle. I've talked to people who are worried it's going to be a blowout. I would say if it's going to be a blowout, Jacksonville's going to blow them out. All the pieces that started the game are going to be a reason why they get up. They got to score points to be up. So I'm starting Trey McBride, but I've kind of laid that out for you. In a standard, Bruce Jacobs from 72-43. Standard, need to swing for the fence. Ooh, see, this is good information. This is how you ask a question. I played Pitts, or I played Evans and Kirk Cousins, whatever. So then you give me a list of players that don't have upside. McConkey, Shakir, Vele, or Coker, and also Loveland or Strange. I'd still play Strange over Loveland like every time. I don't, we've seen Loveland had a huge game against Cincinnati, right? He has like a 28-point game or something ridiculous, 24-point game. Strange to me he has some red zone equity. I'm probably going to play the safe there. I think, I don't know that he's a swing for the fence. In that case, Loveland might be the swing for the fence, but I think you're more likely to fall way short with Loveland. You need the touchdown, right? With Strange, you at least have the floor. So if you're just totally swinging for the fence, I guess we could make a case for Loveland. Of those wide receivers, I like Devon Vele. Last week he didn't show up a lot. Tyler Shuck ran the ball more than I expected, but he did lead the team in targets. Chris Olave's the swing for the fence guy there, though. For me, it's probably going to be Shakir here in this one, and I don't feel great about it. I don't feel great though about McConkey or any of the wide receivers for the Chargers in Kansas City. And I hope you're back next week too. Irie-ish, PPR fun, Marks Harvey or Jaylen Warren, also PPR Shakir, BTJ or Watson. I like Watson more than the world. But let's just see what the projections say because I don't want to cloud it too much lightly, or at least do comparison. So wow, the projections have moved up on Watson. Um, yeah, I'd go Watson. The problem with Watson is he's been doing all his work on a narrow band of targets, but that's the way it goes, and he's got a really tough matchup. Um, but I would play him over BTJ and BTJ had a couple big passes. It's like, is that enough last week for you to hang your hat on? Like he had what, 30 yards, 30 plus yards. I don't know. That's not enough for me. I'm not. Well, I mean, I'm probably playing Shakir ahead of him as well. That was the decision, not Watson. Watson's well ahead of both of them. And it's Marks and Harvey for me, with assuming there's going to be no, or likely to be no, or at least a limited version of Nick Chubb. I'm not as scared of Dari Ogunbowale as I am of Kenneth Gainwell in Pittsburgh. And it's a tough matchup for Harvey too, but still have him well ahead. All right, Dan, white leather, 5-5-5-1. Flex spot, Monongai versus Browns, Burden versus Browns, Singletary versus Commanders, Charbonnet versus Colts, or Corum versus Lions. Lions are a tough matchup for running backs. Sanat. Might be Monongai versus Browns. It's great. Like seems like a little tougher matchup. Tony Pollard would like you to know it isn't always. But I think it's going to be a run heavy approach. Singletary versus Commanders is where the matchup points to. Burden versus Browns. I don't know if we get enough bandwidth there to get the job done. So it's between and Charbonnet versus Colts needs the touchdown. Luck gets it often. I probably like Monongai best of this group. Let's see if the projections agree. They like Charbonnet a little better. Charbonnet, it's 34, 35. Charbonnet, Monongai, they are not as bad. They way higher on Singletary than I am. Yeah, they like Singletary the very best. I guess it's the Washington matchup. This is a close knot, right? We've got 29, 34, 35, and 37. So if you want to stick with the projections, and the projection difference is 11.82 versus 10.67, so it's barely a point difference. Like I kind of like Singletary. Like I thought he had the momentum going in, but I feel like this is going to be a run heavy game in Cleveland, or for the Bears in Cleveland. I would probably go Monongai, but Singletary is the answer of this website. Drake May versus Bills versus Purdy. I'm playing Drake May every week, right? I'm just playing him because he's my starter. Brock Purdy has a great matchup. How did I get here? So I guess that's the question you ask yourself, Dan. How did I get here? Did I get here by switching up, going around, or did I get here by sticking with Drake May and him winning me every week? If you were playing the matchups and going back and forth, I mean, again, Purdy's in my top 10. Drake May is my quarterback 2 this week. Purdy has a great matchups coming off a positive game, but 2 games removed from a horrible game. So, it's been hit. I think he's on the right trajectory. For the record, he's on my in and out at quarterback. That does not mean he's so far in, I would play him over Drake May, because I would not. Jeff Bolt has no questions. Just breaking news, Jeff. Thank you for coming anyway, man. I always appreciate having you here, man. Someone dropped Juwan Johnson. I dropped Goddard for him last night. I hope this was a good move. I think it's an okay move. I don't know if this is a good week for Goddard. Are you playing him this week? Drone Force, 81.99. Hi, Jim. I missed you earlier. I saw you, Jeff. Jacoby Myers, the Jets, DK Metcalf versus Miami, Rashad Shaheed versus Colts. Need one. I'm playing the Jacoby Myers. Metcalf has a huge upside, but I just like, when we look at the weekly scoring. Let me bring that up quickly, or as quickly as I can. 12, 11, 12, 23, 19, 8, 16, 2, 6, 9, 14, 6, 20. Man, it's a lot of misses in there. A lot of misses. Jacoby Brissett seems like a more consistent, higher floor play to me, Scott. If you need to swing for the fence, it's definitely Metcalf, though. Let's put it that way. Let's do that. Let's split it up like that. And Rashid Shaheed had one good game so far. I'm not playing that. Jeff Bull play McBride if he has a broken leg. I would not, but I get the point. Trump Force needs two wide receivers in the flex. Nico, Olave, Devontae Smith, McLaurin, Debo, Jalen, King, McLaurin, Emmanuel. Yeah. You need to narrow these down. I'm playing Nico and Olave. My flex would probably be McLaurin, Emmanuel Wilson, but you're not going to know that until the late afternoon. If there's no Jacobs, it'd be Emmanuel Warren. So who do we have in the late afternoon window there, or the Monday night? So I guess I'd wait it out and see, and I could play Gainwell on Monday night if Jacobs plays, or I could play Jalen Warren. So I'd have more choices. So yeah, I'd probably wait it out for Emmanuel Wilson. He's good enough to wait it out, and I don't think your other plays are so dominating that I need to play them. David Montgomery versus Rams, Charbonnet versus Colts, Ramondre Stevens versus Buffalo. Scott, I like Ramondre Stevenson a little bit here. I think he still last week got the dominant part of the workload. He's a good touchdown threat. The Bills are a lousy matchup. It would be wild. And it's possible, right? I think this is the crazy world. We've seen guys come in. Mike Evans, right? Comes in and has a great game. Guys can come in cold and have great games. Philip Rivers hasn't played in 5 years. It's a super tough matchup. My expectation is not a great game. But is it possible? Is a 30-point game possible? Of course it is. I would play Philip Rivers over these quarterbacks. How about that? Let's do that. Bring up the list. I would play him over Kenny Pickett, Brady Cook. And then I could start making decisions like, would I play him over Justin Herbert? Maybe. Tua against Pittsburgh. I don't know. Cam Ward against San Francisco. Shedeur Sanders coming off a big game. Like, it's hard for me to find, like, outside of Superflex leagues, it'd be hard for me to find a home for Philip Rivers in starting lineup against the Seattle defense. Maybe against another defense. Maybe not. Starter advice. 6-point PPR, 6-point per pass touchdowns. Okay, Burrow versus Ravens, Jackson versus Bengals, or Dart versus Commanders. I'm playing Dart for me against the Commanders as the rushing floor as well. And then Burrows and Jackson, I think I have ranked consecutively, and I could tell you a happy story against either. Jackson coming off a decent game, right? His first game with touchdowns, 4 weeks. Ran 7 times for over 40 yards and looked willing to run. That was a big thing. And I would never dismiss Burrow, but Dart is the easy answer for me. All three inside the top 10 of my rankings. Hello, MJY147. I saw you before, Andrea. I did not see you before, Will Thompson, 9903. Thank you for coming. Saw you, Andrea. Love this. If Ferguson misses, Colby Parkinson versus Lions or Hunter Henry versus Bills. I don't love Hunter Henry this week. He is my out on my in and out, but just because the Bills are a super tough matchup, I think you're kind of counting on the touchdown with Parkinson. So that's the measure there, Scott. I would probably still, and by out, I mean I don't expect like tight end 1 numbers in general. Like I think I have him at tight end 12 or 13, right outside 13, somewhere right outside the tight end 12 range. But I'd probably still play him over Colby Parkinson. He's had more of a role. I mean, it's hard to, he's tight end 9 on the season. Parkinson has been kind of a touchdown dart that with the bullseye playing with Matthew Stafford. So that's the decision, Scott, depending on how your roster looks. And again, I'm going to tell you this a lot of times. I don't know what your opponent has, and nor do I have time to sit here and listen to it. And I don't want to hear your entire lineup. But you need to make those decisions based on how your lineup looks against your opponent's lineup. Scott knows this. I'm not telling Scott anything he doesn't know, and probably any of the rest of you. And I know we all want cut and dried answers, but there are no cut and dried answers. That's why we play the game, right? Because the outcomes are not determined until on Sundays or Thursday nights or Monday nights or some weeks Thursdays, Fridays, Saturdays. No total panicking, though. That's the one thing we're not going to do, Corey Stivers, 8445. No panicking. We'll figure something out. All right, Brad Stewart, 7019. Feliz Navidad to you as well. I'm down 70-0. The ultimate swing for the fence is going to be likely. I mean, I love Fannin. It's going to be super cold, and but does he have the swing for the fence ability? Like last week was the swing for the fence play for him, and he did hit what 24 points. So he has that in him. But I think we're all looking to play the tight end against the Cincinnati Bengals. It's just the problem again here is there are two tight ends playing against them that are both serviceable, and you do have Lamar though. That kind of doubles it up. I'm probably going with likely there. I mean, under no other circumstances would I tell you, right? And if you didn't do that, I would not think it's wrong to not do that. Best three between Harvey, Michael Wilson, Aaron Jones, Debo, or Devin Neal. I like Harvey and Wilson. And we can talk about Wilson a little bit, just like we talked about Trey McBride. I think the volume there has got 49 targets in the 3 games without Marvin Harrison. Like, even if I don't think he's going to be the wide receiver one overall against the Texans, it's going to be a struggle. I think getting wide receiver 2 level play out of him seems like almost certain, right? I mean, he's just the volume is there. Another great RSP, non PPR, wide receiver, wide receiver, running back, and flex. So bench one. Ted McMillan versus Saints, Terry McLaurin versus Giants, Genty versus Eagles, Judkins versus Bears. I'd lean towards flexing an RB, but neither are stone cold. It would probably be based on what you're saying. It would probably be McLaurin, but I could make a pretty good argument for I don't want anything to do with the Raiders offense. Genty's coming off a series of not great games. The volume's there. The production hasn't been. Maybe he gets Colton Miller back. I think he's questionable. I don't know that that fixes all the problems. I think I'd probably sit Genty if it was me. But if you want to sit one of the wide receivers, it's McLaurin, even in a good matchup against the Giants. Pollard or Jacobs? Tennessee plays in the late window. I play Jacobs if he's active and Pollard if he's not. It's always great to have those when those align, right? Kickoff times matter, right? So you could get a fortuitous timing on the decision. Tennessee usually, if they're playing at home, plays in the early window. They're playing in San Francisco. It's the late window. You get a break here. Superchargers had it right. Yes, keep talking within the chat and going through things and figuring them out. What's with Tampa using Sean Tucker in the red zone? But he only got me 7.3 points in the playoffs. Sean Tucker is the thing. They've talked about it. We talked about it here too, Jim. A couple weeks ago, Josh Grizzard said before Bucky ever returned that Sean Tucker's going to have a role going forward, no matter who's in or who's not. And it's something we're going to have to live with. I thought Bucky, it was like this was a pass heavy game. I don't think the norm is going to be like you're going to be unhappy with Bucky's output in general. I think this was maybe a little bit of an outlier game. But Sean Tucker is something we're all going to have to deal with. And Rachaad White too is going to be a kind of scared of Drake May because I have Burrow in one league and Dak in another. Would you guys bench maybe in those scenarios for the Vegas projected higher scoring games? I probably would not, but it's and I wouldn't do it for Dak for sure, right? Because again, I'm going to explain this. I'm out on Dak in my in and out column. Go read it. It'll explain why. Still starting level quarterback or a quarterback I would start if I didn't have Drake May and Joe Burrow. I would happily start Dak Prescott, and even in the toughest matchups, right? Although we've seen him single digits just a few weeks ago in Denver. I mean, the outcomes, he does have that range of outcomes. Drake May, I mean, like if I was worried about Drake, if I was scared, based on your question, you don't want to play Drake May because you have Burrow. Well, then play Burrow. I mean, like if you're scared of it, they're again both top 10 quarterbacks. Let's go to the projections one more time and see what that projection means. Drake May is also, I have him ranked number 2. The projection has him number 2. 21.18 points is the projection. Granted, these are projections. We don't know this for sure. That's the other part of the equation. Dak Prescott projected for 20.19, so 1 point fewer. Joe Burrow, 19.97, so just over a point less than Drake May. All of these guys are within the range. What do you know for sure about Joe Burrow? He's going to air it out. There's going to be plenty of passing. Same with Dak, there probably is too. But if you're scared, that's how I'd see it. I like Burrow ahead of Dak. Projections like Dak ahead of Burrow. We all like Drake May ahead of him. But if you're scared of it, Burrow for me. Running back Wonderland for Irish. Who sits? PPR. Henry, Hall, Judkins, Jacobs also have Wilson. Brees Hall. But I don't know how many of these you're going to start, right? So, like, you don't know if, oh, you do have Wilson. So, yeah, it's no worries. Yeah, Brees Hall for sure. Brees Hall is the out on my out column, and I would like to go to great lengths not to play him this week. That offense has been a mess. He had a horrible game last week, and it's not alone in that. Could he get some like short catches or something? Yes, I suppose so. But he's going against the best run defense in the NFL. The defense has just held Jonathan Taylor to running back 20 finish. And the fewest yards they're giving up in the league. It just looks like a tough slog for Brees Hall to me. Andrea, one flex. Devontae Smith versus Vegas. Juwan Jennings versus Tennessee. Rico versus New Orleans. Woody Marks versus Arizona PPR. I could make an argument for Woody Marks here, given the matchup. And Juwan Jennings, right? I do probably like Jennings. I don't know if I have a pretty decent matchup for all of them. Yeah. I would probably go Dowdle myself, but you've got to worry about the split. If you're worried about the split, go Marks. Those are the two I'd go. It's either Dowdle or Marks. Ah, ah. Uh this week, I mean, like I don't want to overstate the weather because I'm pretty much weather agnostic. I would probably play Fannin over almost everyone. Um, but Brendan Strange is a solid play. It's gonna be cold there too. I'm playing Fannin. Both inside the top 10 again. If you had a feeling, I don't want to play Fannin. I think it's too horrible out. You could do that. That's a reasonable answer. I like that. I appreciate that. Appreciate that as well, Rob. I get concerned because I mean, you're here for a reason, right? You want information. I want to give you the information. I know you want to know who to start. I'm going to tell you who I'd start. But again, this is like ideally you have to put a little confidence in yourself. And by the way, if you don't know me, I'm Bob Harris. Hi. You're wondering what I'm doing here ranting about fantasy football. It's because it's what I do. It's what I've done for like 35 years. I work at footballguys.com. You can find all my work there. Someone just mentioned they read all my work. You can do that as well. My fantasy notebook, my fantasy face off, my in and out column. You catch my daily update podcast every morning on the Football Guys platform or on your podcast platform of choice, Football Guys Daily Update. 10 minutes, just kind of set the day and let you know what you need to know. Also, you can hear me on Sirius XM Fantasy Sports Radio every single day of the year, of the season, 7 days a week, Monday through Fridays, 8 to 10 Eastern time with Mike Dempsey. Saturday nights, 8 to 11 with Dempsey. Although we've got some changes coming since our football games on Saturdays. We kind of go just back to the Fantasy Channel 2-hour show on Saturday after this week, but we'll be there either way. And Sundays, the pregame show with Jeff Mans. That'll run through the season as always. Also, great pregame content here on the Football Guys, the live channel with Joey and his gang. Joey Wright, they do a great job of getting you up to speed, going through the rankings, answering your questions as well. So be sure to check that out too. And all the great content of Football Guys channels on Football Guys Fantasy Football channel, Dave Kluge and Alfredo Brown, Fantasy Football Show. On the Dynasty channel, Kluge and Jeff Bell. On the Audible channel, the great Cecil Lammy and Sigmund Bloom. We've got live trivia. We've got all kinds of live coverage. Jeff Bell and Matt Waldman doing a Thursday night thing there at the end of the game. So check everything out. Lots of content there. Go watch replays of it. It's helpful as well. Scott Kobe just winning on everything. Mo, this might sound nuts, but consider the matchup. No, it's not nuts. I'm not doing it, but definitely not nuts. Again, both inside the top 10. Read my in and out column. I make the case for Purdy there. If you'd like me to make the case for May, it's not really hard. Uh, let's see. 15 points, 26 points, 19 points, 23 points, 12 points, 27 points, 23 points, 26 points, 16 points, 18 points, 15 points, 16 points, 20 points. Man, he has been consistently solid, man. Like, it's hard for me to, and I think that's the thing I'm looking for, right? I mean, we're playing 1 week, right? And we're gonna look at those matchups and we're gonna like sit here and try and go through on Purdy. But Purdy is like in the last 2 weeks, he's gone from single digits to a great game, right? So that's the concern for me. I do think this is going to be a great Purdy game. I would love to play Purdy. I would have a hard time myself playing him over Drake May. But that's the question, Oak Park Peter. That's the question. What can you live with on Monday if you made the wrong decision? Like, if you want to, like, you definitely want to play Purdy. I don't think it's a wrong decision, just not my decision. So if that's your decision, I again both. Here, let's look at the projections again, just to help you out. Drake May projected for 21.18 points. Brock Purdy for 18.75. It's Tennessee. Both projected as quarterback ones. I have Purdy higher. My projection is probably a little higher on that. Let's just look. I have Purdy projected for 19 and a half points, Drake May for 21 points. So it's a 1 point, it's a 1.5 point difference, right? I don't know that I can predict the future with that level of granularity, sir. I don't. I'm going to admit. So it's that close. So make the decision you want to make with that information in mind, right? And knowing that Purdy has had a single digit week against the Carolina Panthers, followed up by a great game that we didn't think he was going to have against a super tough defense, right, in Cleveland. So all that information should be used to form this opinion for you. And I hope you make the call that you want to make and that it's super successful. I'm Bob Harris. I said that. Full point PPR, Scott against Evil, Dalton Kincaid versus New England, or Theo Johnson versus Washington. Also, Xavier Worthy versus LA, or Jaden Higgins versus Arizona. I'd probably play Jaden Higgins there. I'm probably going to play Kincaid over Theo Johnson. Walker, Corum, Gainwell, Hall, or Jaden Higgins sit one. In that group, I'm going to probably sit Jaden Higgins. Tony. Like, I can make arguments against Hall, and I have, but I can't make the argument for Hall over Higgins or Higgins over Hall. Maybe make for Corum. It's a tough matchup for the Rams running backs. And Corey Stivers, who has given sound advice as far as I've seen, does not agree with me. Or did Duddy? That was a different question. Oh no, we agreed. Great minds. I agree with this as well. If I'm playing a 49er wide receiver, it's that guy. Need two, Hampton, Rico, McLaurin, or Sutton. It's going to be two of those running backs. It's going to be Rico and Hampton. Sorry, Malachi Corley and your family. I didn't mean it like that. Damn, I'm not even halfway through the comments here. No way I'm getting through all the questions today. Just not even close. You can run on Buffalo. Good morning, Royal Slade. That could impact the passing volume, but high scoring may balance it out of it. I'm with you there. Hi, Michael Kubiak. Thanks. Drop a thumbs up. Do what Michael Kubiak says. He's a very responsible individual. I heard about that. Thank you for that. I'm looking for something I can answer easily and quickly, or some that really need priority answers, because there's no way I'm getting to all these. Like, I apologize for that, but it's just not going to happen. Henderson versus Buffalo, Monongai versus Cleveland. I like this one just because I'm a little bit in on Henderson. He got a lot of work last week. Like whatever we want I guess I was thinking of Stevenson. I'd probably go. Like it's hard for me to say, but I'm probably going with the matchup against Buffalo there. I like this. I like Neil is my running back and my in and out, and I would agree with that over Gabriel. The game of Warren. I want to play the one who's going to do good. I don't know which one it's going to be. Like I would love that. Have that clarity, Nick. So that I do like Neil, and he has a little. He didn't catch. He got one pass last week, but he's on the whole been pretty good at the receiving role. I don't want to play Lad McConkey this week either. I don't love those options. I might go my non guy there. I would not go that far. I'm scrolling up, so I'm sure there's conversation above this. I still have Michael Wilson ranked like as a high end wide receiver too, based on volume. But I do like Jennings as long as he doesn't get punched in the groin for bad mouthing somebody. It's a great matchup for him. I think that's we've seen last year. We saw his high side. He had like a I want to say a 40 or 50 point game, something ridiculous against the Rams. So he does have that. Corey does not trust Dart. I do trust Dart. But again, both in the top 10. I see the question is Dart or Purdy. I like Dart better. I think he has the high floor. I was talking to Colton Dodgson, my football guy's colleague. He's on the radio last night. If you have Sirius, you can listen to that on the replay. He made a really strong case for Dart being the quarterback one overall this week. I kind of get that. I probably play Dak over those other two options there. Play the Seahawks. I play Goddard over Barner. Well, Elijah Arroyo's out. That one's a lot closer than I thought. What projection says. Yeah, it's closer than I would think. It's Dallas Goddard, but it's like 15 and 19. Not people aren't big on Dallas Goddard this week. Not big on Dallas Goddard. Not his highest projected week. In a big baby cope, Superflex League, start two, Dart, Purdy, or Dak. I'm playing Dart and I played Dart and Purdy here, and I avoid Dak. Again, go read my in and out column. You'll find out why. And check my rankings. That will explain it further. And also the fact you're already playing all those other pieces. Like you get a piece of Dak if he fares well. Do that. Again, really thank everyone for coming. I love these Saturday sessions. It's really helpful for me to kind of figure out what people want to know about, what kind of questions they're asking, so I can kind of fine tune my content to meet those desires and needs. Uh, this is one. So this is a big question, right? Like, and I think that using him without London is great. Just like we've been sitting on Mike Gesicki and thinking like waiting for T. Higgins to be out again. I mean, Gesicki was great last week. He could be greater this week, or I don't know if he could be greater. He was tight end two last week. I don't know if he's good at tight end one. Would I continue trusting Pitts if London comes back? Yes, I would continue. Kirk Cousins has always had a big connection with tight ends. It didn't work early on, but it seems to be working now with Pitts. And I would keep playing that over Loveland. Until we see more from Loveland consistently, I would go with that. I would play Warren over Kincaid. Oh, it's Ty Warren. I thought Jalen Warren. Oh, that's closer. I still like Ty Warren this week. He's my in on my in and out column. Kincaid might be the safer play, but it's not the best of matchups for him either. I might go Ty Warren, hope the elderly quarterback Philip Rivers, who, if you're tuning in, is going to start. It seems like his name is Jackson. Is that when I was struggling to come up with Lane Johnson? Because it's Johnson if it is. Risky wide receiver bonanza. Which two would you start in a half-point PPR? Devontae Smith, Alex Pierce, BTJ, Jaden Reed, or Luther Burden? Devontae Smith would be one. Might be one where I go BTJ. Alex Pierce, I think I dial back on a little bit this week and just wait and see what happens, right? I'd hope that BTJ's last week was the start of something. Telling myself a happy story here, right? And Jaden Reed, we know can show up any given week, but what week is it going to be? I don't know. Just like I almost feel that way about Christian Watson too, but he's been more consistently productive with a narrower band of targets, and I'm playing that because I don't think anyone there is going to just be a dominant target share. We saw what against Detroit 2 weeks ago. Watson got 10 targets. You don't often see a Green Bay wide receiver get those targets. He's been closer to 4 or 5 most weeks as well. I don't know what Jaden Reed's going to get, and Burden is kind of the same thing for Burden as well. So I'm gonna. It's BTJ over Pierce this week only. And just like with Mike Evans, I had concerns about the passing attack and him coming back from injury. I have concerns. This one is about the quarterback and a tough matchup and those kind of things. I could be overplaying those in my mind. So think it through carefully, but that's my approach. Also, if you get a chance, go to Football Guys and check the projections and compare what I'm saying, what you're thinking, triangulate with what the projections say. That's what I love. That's what I use the projections for. Like I triangulate. We're sitting here having a conversation. I know where I rank somebody. I know what you think of them. Let's find out what the middle ground is and see if we can't figure out, what's closer to correct. Again, one more time. We're playing a range of outcomes. Every single player you put in a lineup is a range of possible outcomes from 0 to a bunch, right? And so what we're trying to tell ourselves, and we don't know what the outcome is in advance. That's why we sit here and do this. We're trying to suss out. We're trying to figure out. We're trying to assess which end of the range of outcomes someone's more likely to hit. That's being the key, more likely, because we don't know for sure, right? So this is the art of fantasy football. This is the non-science part. We put all the numbers down and we crunch all that and we calculate the matchups to help tell ourselves the happy stories that get us to at one end of the range or the other end of the range, like what I did with Dak, right? Like I love Dak Prescott. I would probably start him if he's my own quarterback. But if I had choices and they were all inside the top 10, I'm probably looking at other choices for the reasons I laid out, the matchups, the past history and tough matchups. Same thing I did with Patrick Mahomes last week, right? I was out on him for the same reason. Offensive line injuries were part of that story. It was just like I'm out on Justin Herbert right now. Not because his hand's broken, because his offensive line can't block. Those are the things that kind of sway the story. I like Dart over Burrow. I'll try and do some of these fast. I've kind of laid out why. Excuse me. Rust in Peace is a perfect album. A perfect album. Like you could do Dawn Patrol is kind of like a lame thing, I guess. Still, fantastic album. A Chain and Gibbs, and I have A Chain and Gibbs at my tight end Kittle. My opponent has Barkley, Williams, and McBride. I think you have A Chain and Gibbs, and I think A Chan's going to play. Gibbs, even in a tough matchup, can light the world on fire. Kittle in a great matchup. I think you're in pretty good shape. Tough matchup for McBride. Injuries along the offensive line. Boy, that's a fact. All right, I only have a minute to go. I don't know how many more questions I'm going to get to here, people. I'm being honest. I felt like I fell far short of answering all your questions. That's never the goal, but sometimes it happens. Wilson is getting sting lead. I suppose. What was the volume? I'm playing the volume, Scott. I mean, and again, you win more money than me, so I'm probably should be listening to you as opposed to me. Fair. See, these are the kind of thoughts that we should be having, right? Like when we're trying to compare these things. Josh Jacobs wasn't great, but he has a little scoring equity. Pollard doesn't have the Titans don't have last week, notwithstanding, right? Like I don't know if we're expecting that same thing, but these are the tough decisions that we've got to work our way through. Uh, Volume is so to me, when I see discussions like this, volume is the primordial sludge from which all fantasy scoring arises. Without some volume, nothing happens, right? So I tend to play players with more certain volume or more what I consider more certain anticipated volume. And in Michael Wilson's case, I'm doing that because 15 plus targets a game without Marvin Harrison. They can't run the ball effectively. I don't know that they'll run the ball effectively this week either. I don't know that they'll throw effectively either, but I'm pretty sure they will throw. But it is Dempsey and I have been talking about this a lot. If there was a defense out there that would make me change my plans, it's that defense, right? That Houston defense. Michael Hart, another one who would like to play Purdy and start him in a great matchup. For me, it's getting too cute. But again, both of them in my top 10. So I don't know that that's too cute. Like if it was Rivers, that would probably be too cute. This is just kind of cute, right? It is a great matchup. Shedeur Sanders just lit them up to the Tennessee Titans. I get the appeal. So yeah, I'm not against this. I'm 100% not against this. I'm just not doing it. Oh, Devin Neal would be one of them. I'm probably going Watson and hoping and crossing my fingers. Strange has a nice floor. Jaylen Warren would be next. It's between Watson and Jaylen Warren. All right, I'm going over my time. I've gone over my time. I got to get out of here and do real work. Not that this isn't real work. This is fun to me, not work at all. It's a great time. There's the right choice. Everyone should pick that. Appreciate y'all. Thanks for coming. Have a good week, everybody. I hope you win your playoff game. I hope I see you all back here next Saturday for this live stream when we will have probably even tougher decisions to make. And I will lecture you more on making the best decisions you possibly can, realizing in advance games are crazy, man. It's an oblong spheroid. Ball bounces funny ways, man. We make the best decisions we can, and we work through it. I don't disagree with this, but I'm still playing likely. Good luck, everybody. Have a great week. I'm Bob Harris, over and out.